I would like to introduce the Honorable Mayor Mike McGinn, who has been pivotal in making Global Action Day what it is today. When he signed the proclamation to recognize it, he stated that he's really interested in encouraging our community to celebrate the accomplishments, the innovation, the leadership, and the impact of Seattle's global development sector for the betterment of the world. So with that, please join me in welcoming Mayor Mike McGinn.
Thank you. I think my mic's on, is it? Okay. Well, I do want to say that I'm kind of humbled being in front of this group because of the work you do around the world and your commitment to it. And so I just want to say thank you for everything you do. A little bit of, and I'm not sure, given my own personal experience, I have much insight or advice or anything like that to offer you. But I'll do my best to just share some observations about what we're doing in Seattle and how it may connect to the work you're doing around the world. And I was talking earlier, we were talking about a number of things. One of the things was that I went to school at Williams College in Massachusetts. They had a wonderful place there called the Center for Development Economics, Ford Foundation funded, I believe, and had kind of the best and the brightest from around the world. And so I managed to take some courses in development economics, and it was wonderful and really helped shape my thinking about how economies work and the role of equity and property rights in providing opportunity, the role of infrastructure as well in doing that. And after that, I went to DC to work and came out here, was very engaged in the Sierra Club and worked on regional land preservation, global warming, so I had nice big issues. But my work has gotten more and more local, and as mayor, I can assure you, when somebody walks up to me in the supermarket and tells me they have a pothole outside their house, I write down their name and number and we get back to them. So my work has become extraordinarily local. So it's really just a real pleasure to be able to connect with you. But again, I'm not sure how much I have to offer in that regard. We are really proud of this sector and what it means to the state and to the city of Seattle. I've had the opportunity to tour some of the facilities in South Lake Union and meet with folks from this organization before. And we're committed to promoting it. It's one of, in our Seattle Jobs Plan, it's one of the sectors that we want to support. One of the bright spots that we want to make sure that we help make connections and that we support it with the right types of choices locally. And I want to talk about that a little bit because it was listening to the types of work that's done in the, around the world. It's the same recipe here in Seattle. And the problems we face here may not be exactly the same problems as elsewhere, but there's a lot of overlap in the types of things we do. So we often talk about how do we compete in the world economy. But you might also talk about how do you enhance people's quality of life? How do you make sure everyone has opportunity, access to opportunity, and the ability to share in the prosperity that we can see around us, but many are excluded from. So Obama talks about out-innovate, out-educate, out-build. Bruce Katz from the Brookings Institution, their Metropolitan Policy Director, talks about innovation, education, low carbon. So the very similar recipes are spoken about what regions have to do to succeed. And we're working on doing that in Seattle. We have our Families and Education Levy on the ballot, which is going to go deeper into the communities where we have the largest achievement gaps, where African American and Latino students are not graduating from high school at the rates they should be, and then getting that year of post-secondary education they need. We're working very hard with our community college system to create career pathways for people who are, getting those types of certificates that enable them to do more than just entry-level work, and trying to figure out ways that we can reach people where they are, the single mom, the immigrant or refugee who's working in South Lake Union in one of those medical research facilities or in a hospital. Is there a way that we can provide training to them in their facility, give them credit for things they've already learned, let them get a quarter's worth of credit, and then continue working and come back for another quarter's worth of credit and work their way up to the type of credential they need. And these things, educating smart people, getting creative and smart people through our own school system, working with the people that are here who want to advance, those are things that, it's good overall for economic competitive. It's good for your your sector as well. Innovation. Innovation comes in a lot of different varieties and formats. So whatever we can do to support innovation, we want to do that. And if that means we have to have a different land use code that enables research labs to work in South Lake Union, we'll do that. If we need a better electrical grid in South Lake Union to support the unique needs of the entities there, we'll do that. We want to support innovation because that's how we're going to compete. And innovation isn't just about competition. We're also in an era where we have a lot fewer resources than we had before. We just have less money. So you have to innovate. You have to be more creative. And it's not just industry that has to innovate. Government's going to have to innovate. We're going to have to re-examine how we deliver services and how we and make choices as well. Finally, the last one of infrastructure, the outbuild part, and low carbon. It's really got to be low carbon infrastructure that we're focused on. One reason, again, we'll go back to economic competitiveness. One reason is tying ourselves to fossil fuels over the long run is a really bad idea. It's just going to get more and more expensive. And that will hinder us, and it'll act as an anchor and a drag on what we do. So finding different ways, whether it's green buildings or whether it's creating the types of communities where people can get around without relying on fossil fuels. So we're looking at good, walkable, mixed-use communities which have the destinations near you, connected to each other by transit, and maybe you can even bike between them as well. This is what we found in South Lake Union and the rest of the city. That's one of the things that's really great for our city, is that that's one of the things I find that companies are saying they want. I discovered that when I went down to meet with all the global health folks in South Lake Union. I was expecting to hear about esoteric things, and we heard about a couple of esoteric things, land use code or electricity. But the other thing I heard was the type of community with a high quality of life that was accessible by transit, walking, and biking was very important to keep attracting the types of talent that these places need. And this is what the younger generation wants, is to live in these types of communities. And the data's out there. They're actually applying for driver's permits at a lower rate. They're driving less, and they want to live in these types of communities. So we have to build these types of communities, not just because it's nice, and not just because it's the right thing to do for the environment, because it's part of the way that we attract people and keep them here. So we've seen software companies relocating here, Brooks Running Shoe Company relocated here, and we see the spectacular growth in the South Lake Union area, which is built on our quality of life. So these are all good things we can do, again, to keep supporting not just the global health sector, but enhancing our quality of life and giving more people opportunity. Now, I am going to now just turn to, so we're committed to doing what we can to help you. And this question about why Seattle should be this sector. And Seattle, excuse me if sometimes when I say Seattle, I mean within our city limits. Other times I think more broadly of our region and of our state. Why would this region and our state, why would we be such a nexus? And I really do think it's values driven. Well, two reasons. One, lots of people come here. It's a jumping off place to somewhere else. Lots of people come here from other places. I think we're outwardly facing here in Seattle by nature. We think about how what we do here impacts other places. We're very interested in how other places work. I think the other reason is just simply our values. What we care about. We care about equity and opportunity. We care about widening the circle of prosperity. We care about dealing with injustice and trying to find a way to address it. So I think there's a values base here in Seattle about what we do that's reflected in our local actions and reflected in how we face outwardly to the rest of the world as well, and the work we do in those places. And those connections today become deeper and deeper between our local actions and global health, global prosperity, global solutions. Now, I'll give you just a couple of examples from my work now that kind of bring that home to me about how important what we do here is, not just in how we reach out, but how we organize our lives here in a way that's consistent with those ideals over the long run. I was invited to, well, first of all, we're blessed in this city to to be very diverse population and region. People come from all over the world. And they come here for economic opportunity. They come here because of our institutions of higher education. They come here for religious freedom. But they also come here because they come from strife or hardship. And I was invited to a fundraiser for our Somali population. We have a very large East African population, Eritrean, Ethiopian, Somali as well. And I was shown scenes of the devastation that is Somalia. People walking 200 miles to get water, leaving their family behind, as they go out and strike out to try to find where they can go. It's desperate, horribly desperate times. Before I went down, I just went and took a look. I Googled, global warming in Somalia. And I kind of knew what I might find. They have regular rainy seasons there, and they haven't had rainy seasons there for years. And the academics tell us it's because of global warming. Right? So that connection is right here in front of us. We are seeing the effects of being the largest user of fossil fuels in the world, here in our country, and the effects it has in other countries, and they're here. They are climate refugees. And this may be our region's future. This may be a very significant part of our region's future. The Climate Impacts Group at the University of Washington talks about the impacts here. We can expect more severe storms, reduction in the snowpack, more flooding, springtime flooding, because it'll be a little warmer and wetter in those rains, and the snowpack will melt quicker. There are other impacts as well. But we'll have water here. Other portions of the globe, what you're going to see is more drought, excessive heat, more storms, and of course rise in sea levels. We're one of the places in the world which we won't see those terrible impacts. We can expect more people to come to our city and region in the future, and we have to make sure that we have the systems in place, the infrastructure in place, the education in place, the attitude in place, that we're going to be prepared to handle new influxes of immigrants and refugees, just as we've always done, just as we've always done. And we've gotten better at it, I think, but we're going to have to get even better at it as we move forward. The other connection is a new issue that's arisen. First, I saw Governor Gregoire thanked us, had a comment up here, and we can thank Governor Gregoire for helping close the coal plant here in the state of Washington. We are in the Northwest getting off of coal, and that was 19% of our global warming pollution here. But we have a new problem that's come up, and so I guess I'm just going to ask you for a little bit of help with this as you're thinking globally and what it means and some of the actions we take locally. Coal is, global warming is you took all this carbon dioxide from beneath the surface of the earth and you evaporate it into the atmosphere. That's basically what global warming is. So the most important thing we can do in the future is keep as much of those fossil fuels buried beneath the surface. And we can do that by being more efficient in our use of energy, creating these walkable mixed-use communities. There's lots of things we can do to do that. But ultimately, you don't want to dig it up and burn it, because that it'll take a long, long time for the earth to absorb that back into plant and soil again. Well, when you look at all the fossil fuels beneath the earth, the biggest one is coal, and we have huge reserves of it, and China wants to buy it from us. And the current local debate is whether we will ship coal from Montana through Washington state ports or Oregon ports or Canadian ports to China, something on the order of 15 Centralia coal plants a year we would ship overseas. Now, from an economic basis, shipping out something we dig up from beneath the ground is not the highest quality export. Software, airplanes, your knowledge and expertise that you're building here, our knowledge and expertise in building green buildings, these are wonderful exports. These are things that improve the quality of life for our region and for everyone else. This is a great high road path to economic development. A low road path to economic development is taking something like coal out of the ground, shipping it somewhere else, and then watching it make the planet worse. So I'd ask for your help as you look at this discussion come up, as members of the global health community as people who are looking out for the health and welfare of people around the globe, that this is something locally we should do different. Because I don't think it's all right for us to say, as the planet got worse, we managed to make a little bit of profit as the coal went through our ports. You know, this is, I think, ultimately a moral issue as well for us as we move forward. So thank you for letting me address you. Thank you for letting me talk about a couple of local issues. But most of all, just thank you for the work you're doing everywhere around the globe. And thank you so much for making Seattle and this region the place that you do it from. We are absolutely blessed to have you, and we will do everything we can to help support you and this industry so that, you know, Seattle can continue to have this reputation that we so greatly want. So thank you again.